Everyone, and welcome to another episode of From Shauna's Desk. For those of you who are not new to my channel, you'll know that I do these periodically to sort of check in with you, let you know what's going on with me, and also for those of you who are my clients watching this video, to give you some information about what might be going on the business end of things with some of the classes and the students that I'm supporting. But um, there must be a lot of you who watched this video who really liked it because it got more views when I published it than just about any other video I've made, except for one video that was very specifically focused on a particular math concept. And this video that I'm doing today comes as a subscriber request, not only to see more of the same type of chatty, laid back, hey, let us know what's going on with you kind of video, but also in response to people wondering what I've been reading and how I've been doing with my reading goals. So I took off, I carved out a bit of time today to read one of the books that I've been meaning to get to for quite some time, and I consumed this as an audiobook. This is, let me share the screen with you at this time. This is a book called The Shift: One Nurse, 12 Hours, Four Patients' Lives by Theresa Brown, RN. This book was published by Algonquin in 2016. It was recommended to me by a friend whose daughter and whose son-in-law are both nurses, different types of nurses, but they are both nurses. This book focuses on the author's experience as a registered nurse in an oncology floor of a hospital in Pennsylvania. She relates true experiences of four of the patients over one shift that was there. And reading this book, if you don't know much about the day-to-day aspects of nursing, you can pick up a lot of details that are very interesting. There's the usual not getting lunch because you're charting patients' vitals, or you're helping with transfers, you're doing all sorts of other things that are pretty common, but there's also a lot of insight into the banter that goes on and the sort of help situations that happen, um, the day-to-day frustrations she mentions early on in the book, which is unbelievable. She mentions a story where she had to go look up a regimen for chemotherapy, and she, wanting to be responsible, looked it up on the internet, and that particular website was blocked that day because they were doing some maintenance on the server and they couldn't get to it. And why would they block certain sites for nurses? And she talks a little bit about some of the listings that I wouldn't even think would be even a problem or a thought, but apparently they are. And I like that book, this book on that basis. It was very much like, it's very professional in tone and engaging in that way. And it gave you a picture of the patients that were in the ward and what they were going through. I know why she structured the book the way she did, and I think it gives people reading it a pretty good sense of what a day-to-day life, a day in the life kind of thing was like. It very much kind of reminded me of the sort of bring your daughter to work or shadow somebody for a day. And so this could be an important book for that. It wasn't overly dramatic. It didn't have the dramatic tension that I was expecting because it felt like we were in her head the whole time as far as the patients, even though we saw some of what the patients went through is very much through her eyes. And so I think that sort of limits some of the drama because I think some of her professional training, even though these are dramatic situations, these are painful situations, her professional training has her maybe a bit detached from some of those situations. And I think that's an interesting perspective here. But that was one thing this week, and that was my small review of the shift. I give it 3.5 stars. I would definitely read it again if you're interested in nursing, if you know somebody who might be curious about the day-to-day sort of requirements of a nurse and what they actually do on a shift and what actually happens. I think this could be a really good low-key introduction to that if you don't know much about nursing. If you do know a lot about nursing already, it might be a nice way to commiserate with somebody. But again, it's not the propulsive. It's engrossing, but it's not what I would call propulsive. It doesn't keep you flipping pages breathless. It keeps you flipping pages because you want to know what's going on with her. But definitely worth reading and definitely worth checking out. Also this week, I've been keeping up with the tutoring situation. And some of you know that I'm still making some arrangements for January, so that's still happening. I'm also wrapping up a lot of situations as the semester ends. I had some interesting meetings this week. I had a meeting. One of my students' assignments this week was in a class to have a debate with classmates about whether or not it was better to be single or married and what you would do, why it's better to have friends if you're married, still have friends that you had when you were single. Very interesting perspective and a very educational debate for me. It gave us a chance to look into some evidence for that, look into platonic friendships within a marriage, not only to your partner, but also to other people. So we looked at, for example, the comparison between Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, who were great friends and people who talked about voting rights and suffrage. And we also used as evidence of the relationship between Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. And even after they became estranged, how Benjamin Rush brought them back together and what their friendship meant to each other. That was one of the more interesting projects I helped out on. Most of you know that I do math primarily, but I do occasionally help with other subjects and projects as needed. And that was one of the more interesting projects I had this week. Also, I'll be gearing up for Thanksgiving week next week. So if you're watching this from the United States and you celebrate Thanksgiving, which is coming on the 28th of this month, please enjoy yourselves and remember that in spite of everything that's going on in our current climate these days, which is a whole other discussion, that there's still plenty to be grateful for and plenty to be open-hearted about. And until next time, I think next time I might try to review another book, talk to you about some other things. Perhaps I'll be able to review Mountains of Spices, the sequel to Hind's Feet on High Places. That's sort of up on my priority list. Just didn't happen today. So, but I do look forward to speaking with you again, everyone out there. And I hope you're all well. And I will see you again soon, Lord willing, in my next video. Take care, be safe, and stay well. Bye for now.